All morning, we have been covering the line fire, that breaking news in San Bernardino County. It's been a very troubling situation for a lot of families out there. There have been a lot of worries about homes in the area, and there have been mandatory evacuation orders and warnings in place in the Highland Running Springs area because of that line fire.
And there's that difference between the warning, be ready to go, and the evacuation order, meaning leave now. And now those evacuation orders stretching from areas of Highland to the south where this fire started a few days ago, now up in the mountain, Running Springs, Arrow Bear Lake, now impacted by those evacuation orders, and even so considered a mandatory evacuation. But a lot of people making that decision to stay. You know, a firefighter and sheriff's department can never force you to leave. So trying to get that message out for people to go. You see video overnight of this fire, and joining us live right now on the phone is CAL FIRE Public Information Officer Brent Pascua. Good morning. Thank you for joining us.
Good morning.
So right now we have 17,000 acres that have burned, 0% containment. Any update on those numbers, or is that where it holds at the moment?
That's where it holds at the moment. We're just over 17,000 acres. We're hoping that we can report on some containment later this morning. It's just too early to know what progress the crews were able to make overnight. I know we were able to use our water-dropping helicopters again throughout the night, so hopefully with the lower temperatures, the higher humidities, we were able to gain some ground on this stubborn fire.
Yeah, we're very hopeful about that as well, and there's a lot of anticipation about the progress and the updates with this. Brent, there are a lot of factors that are contributing to the growing size of this fire. What would you say is the biggest area of concern with this firefight?
Yeah, so you're absolutely correct with the factors. It has all three things that wildfire needs to grow: fuel, weather, and topography. It's got all three working against us. And not only with that, we also had a thunderstorm come through the fire area yesterday, which makes the fire extremely unpredictable in which direction it's going to burn. So we have all those factors working against us, and this heat wave is going nowhere. So you know, it's really all hands on deck. We're trying to do everything we can to put this fire out, keep people safe.
And we're pretty sure that this is the biggest fire that we've seen here locally this fire season. Could this be indicative of what could still to come in the next couple of months? I mean, oftentimes we've seen big fires in December. Right.
And it's all going to depend on the weather. You know, if we get these consecutive over 100-degree temperature days, the brush is going to just be primed and ready to burn. So it really depends on that. You know, last year we had that hurricane come through and wet everything down, so we had a nice quiet end to the fire year, if you will. So, again, just really weather dependent on that.
Yeah, and Brent, you kind of touched on this a little bit earlier. We were talking about how there is that potential for thunderstorms in the area, and with it, our weather guy Tony has been talking about the downbursts that had strong winds and could disperse the flames in different directions. How would your fire crews handle something like that? How would you handle containing this fire?
Yes, so we plan for that. We also have the weather reports, and we understand that if we get those downbursts, we don't have any predictability of where this fire might go. So we just have to have crews on all sides of this fire ready for any kind of potential, new run this fire may make in a different direction. So we have to surround this thing on all sides.
Yeah, absolutely. For folks who have been joining us for the past 30 minutes or so, we had video overnight of the line of cars, people trying to leave the Running Springs area, get down the mountain. Of course, the fire blew over the 330. That was a concern. What is your message to people who have decided not to leave, have not left yet? Because this is an evacuation order, correct?
That's correct. I did get to sit in some of that traffic yesterday, and yeah, it is hard to get up and down the mountain sometimes when there is no emergency. So I say leave early, leave as soon as possible. If there's an order, a warning, and you need that extra time, it's just safe. It's just safer to just get out then. And that way you know your family is not stuck in some traffic or anything like that should, the fire make an unpredictable run.
And now, is this an area we heard from an evacuee yesterday who honestly was leaving pretty early? They were concerned about what they saw developing. They mentioned that they had not seen a fire like this in the area approaching Running Springs. Can you speak to that at all? As far as this an area that hasn't burned for years, and if so, is that an added concern?
That's correct. It hasn't burned in this area for years, so it has a lot of fuel in front of it, a lot of available fuel to burn, and then the terrain is extremely steep. So with the topography and the fuel lined up, and then you get the erratic winds, it makes for a really dangerous, critical fire.
And what about the having helicopters in the air? I know you mentioned that you were having the aerial assistance and the water drops. Clearly, that is a help to firefighters. And if the winds were to pick up, that would potentially ground them?
The winds have to be pretty extreme to ground the helicopters and the planes. We don't have predicted winds that are going to get that high, so I believe today, another day, we'll be able to use our aircraft, our planes, and our helicopters to help battle this fire. It's got to get up to about 45-mile-an-hour gusts in order to ground our aircraft.
All right. Hopefully we do see some progress on the line fire, and we're waiting for that update hopefully as soon as possible. Brent, thank you so much for giving us your insight and giving us some context on where the firefight stands at this point in time. We appreciate it.
You're very welcome. Thanks for having me.
Well, meantime, evacuation orders are in place for all of Running Springs, all of Arrow Bear Lake, and to the south, part of Highland. Evacuation warnings are in place for areas of Highland, Green Valley, Lake Cedar Glen, Lake Arrowhead, Crestline, and Valley of Enchantment. There are evacuation shelters at the San Bernardino County Fairgrounds in Victorville and Emmanuel Baptist Church in Highland.
Hello, I'm Mark Brown. Get more great ABC7 content by clicking the subscribe button for our YouTube channel and download the ABC7 Los Angeles streaming app on Fire TV, Android TV, Apple TV, and Roku to watch on your TV.